Hello friends. Today I am here with a process video going through my week in Stop the Blur, which, if you're not familiar, it's a memory planner system created by Heidi Swapp. This is the first year that she's doing it with these little inserts into an album like you see here. So I started, you saw there, by selecting and printing my photos, and then I cut them and kind of lay them out on the planner sheet so I get a feeling for what my week's going to look like. Then I start going through and gathering embellishments and little tuck away items, anything that kind of supports the theme and goes with the color scheme. And like I had mentioned previously, for the month of February, I'm using Valentine's products and all shades of reds and pinks. So for this one, I focused a lot on like kind of a brighter pink, and then I worked in some red kind of incidentally on the second half of the spread. So if you can see there, each day of the week has kind of a row, and it's about 2 inches tall. And I interact the rows a little bit. You can see the photo on the right. It's a little bit taller, so I bumped it up into the margin. And then you can see the striped envelope on the left. Needed a little extra space, so I kind of bumped it up into the preceding day. Here I cut out a little notebook image from a recent Heidi Swapp Valentine's Day collection, and I'm using that as kind of like a flip up. So part of the system is she has kits, and there's a lot of products that help you kind of tuck in either journaling or more images to kind of get the most out of the space. And I have found that I really like my layouts best when they adhere to kind of a tight color scheme, which is a little silly, I understand, but I just like aesthetically how it looks. So I use a lot of those items to tuck away photos that don't support the color scheme. Like, I love this little blue neon sign, but it definitely isn't vibing with the pink and reds. So I tucked it away. And so I do a lot of that, tucking things away. And it's the secondary purpose for me is it is a way to include more journaling and more photos. So here I'm taking a perforated tag, and I kind of reinforced, you can see with the green stripe washi, I reinforced the perforation because I wanted to use that as a bit of a hinge, but I knew that if I bent it too much or too often, that it was just going to tear apart. So I reinforced it with a little bit of washi, and you kind of see me now tapping my fingers thinking about, what do I add next? What's the next layer? So generally I like to start with the photos, then I lay out all the little add-on flips and tucks, and then I go and add stickers and other embellishments. I add in stamping, some titles, die cuts, and journaling. And I do kind of like to start with each day, and then I go back and kind of give it another once over and add all the kind of the embellishments and the pretty stuff. So that's the phase that I'm in right here. Just seeing what I can add where, what blank spaces I can fill in, pulling out my stamps. I hate ultimately what I did there. I got my stamp crooked. It's not straight. It didn't stamp well. The black feels kind of harsh in that section, and if I could do it over, I wouldn't do that there, but it is what it is. And I've learned to embrace the imperfections in this project because it's weekly, it moves fast. I don't, have the time or the desire to stress too much over little bits of stamping gone wrong or things that ultimately aren't my favorite. So that's the first part of the week, and then I will slide over the second part of the week. So I'm using a little insert card, putting a photo that kind of goes along with the color scheme on the front, and using a little label to journal about it. It's real easy to just focus on photos. But I know from experience when I look back at weekly projects, what I really want is the context that journaling provides. So I'm always trying to push myself. And you see here, I had this little fold over from Heidi Swapp, but I wanted something with a little more contrast against the white of the background. So I just kind of used hers as a template to recreate one that had a little bit more color. And it often is a puzzle. See, I had that bright pink one, but the tab didn't fit quite right. So I chose this lighter pink where the tab just kind of tucked right in under that big element in the top right. So a lot of it, you kind of do it day by day, but also you have to think bigger picture so that you can make sure everything interacts well together. And a big part, you'll see I come back to this, but a big part of the tags and the flips and the tucks is being able to close them. This little file folder I'm working on right now comes tabbed. You'll see there's a little tab that allows you to tuck it closed. But up above the small little square on the top left, it doesn't have a closure. So I have to kind of work on making one of my own. And so that plays into kind of working everything together so that you can find ways to close your little interactive elements. So I work on that for a bit and move on to some other things. Here I'm working on the closure that I talked about. I took a heart, cut it in half, and just kind of tucked it in there. And if I position this bigger one just right, then that heart kind of catches under that closure to allow the small one to close into the big one. See, right there, I tucked it in. So just a lot of moving parts, a lot to kind of think about and work around, besides just the photos and the journaling and the color scheme and the storytelling. So here I was being rushed. This was, my daughter had been home. We were ready to move on and do some stuff. And she was patiently waiting for me to kind of wrap up the process at this point. So I start to get a little hurried and a little rushed. And that's not generally when or how I do my best work. So I'm just kind of trying to make things fit. The very last row of the second page is just a blank section. Since there's 7 days of the week, that ends up with an 8th row that is just blank. So I generally try to just do some embellishing, some fun stamping, some cool imagery with this section. And so I'm just trying to use what I have in front of me, some of the stuff that I had die cut at the beginning of February, and just kind of making it all work. So I do a little bit of stamping, just pulled out some sentiments that kind of applied to the week and my overall thoughts and experience. And then usually I do the dates early in the process, but this week I just kind of didn't. So here I am stamping the dates, and then I'll do a little bit of a close-up to kind of see things a little closer. And then I'm going to page to the proper section and insert it right in. So there you go. There's a quick look at my Stop the Blur album. Thank you.